Maybe it's just the case that Ritchie Torres took too many antidepressants, up his brain chemistry.
Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everyone. Keaton and Russ from Due Dissidence in for Jimmy while he is on the road. We are going to get things started right now by welcoming our first guest. He's a longtime friend of ours. He's a Bronx-based activist who previously worked as a staffer for Diane Sare, who ran as an independent for U.S. Senate against New York Democrat Chuck Schumer. In the past, he's confronted New York area politicians about their support for the Ukraine war and to demand accountability from the Biden administration for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. He's currently running in the U.S. House in New York's 15th Congressional District against incumbent Ritchie Torres for a second time. He's also a birthday boy, so please give a birthday welcome to our friend Jose Vega. What's up, Jose?
Hey, thanks for having me on here. I hope my connection's okay.
Yours is, great. Keaton's is not.
Okay. No. It's him, not me.
Yeah, you're max headrooming.
Happy birthday.
Which birthday is this?
The 27.
Wow.
All right. So now, as part of your platform, you've proposed what you call the Logan's Run amendment, where everyone gets deleted at 30. So you'd only serve for 3 years then. Right?
And I would make those 3 years work. All right. For you, the American people.
Fair enough. Now, you are grandfathering in people who are already over 30, right? So I don't have to worry. It's only
immediate execution.
See? Now
yeah. And you guys are going to get me in trouble. I'm just...
Not at all. With the platform like that, I'm sure you'll have Matt Walsh's endorsement by the end of the show.
Yeah. That's the one I'm going for. That's the key swing endorsement in this district.
Yeah, that's a big demo. That's a big demo.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a big market for that nowadays.
He's getting a lot of pushback because he's this for him is potentially like genocide Christmas. He's so desperate. Say, it's the transes. It's the transes. We got to go get the transes. They got Charlie. We got to get the transes. And his people are like, yeah, shut up, shill, Israel, bitch, shut up. Like all of his comments, his people are not buying it. He's trying to sell it. They're not buying.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, I think, because, I'm sure, well, you guys are going to cover it in the text messages and whatnot. Everything's not adding up. And the stuff that Max Blumenthal and Candace Owens and also Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly have been saying about, the donors who were threatening Charlie Kirk and blackmailing him. I mean, this is maybe Charlie Kirk was the hero we needed all along.
It's very upsetting. Yeah, no, the more you learn about it, it really is kind of chilling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So getting into your actual campaign, for anyone who doesn't know, Jose is not really planning on executing those over 30. It's not true. I made that up. I promise. So please don't not donate to Jose's campaign in fear for your life. So here it is. Ritchie Torres, I'm sure you saw this on the Adam Friedland show. So this is the person that you are running against. And given that he has really hitched his star to Israel about as solidly and irrevocably as anybody, and given the mood in the city, given the Mamdani campaign, which we'll talk about some, you constitute a real threat to this seat. So let's take a look at why. Let's take a look at what he said on Friedland's show and a little bit of a video that you put out that's gone pretty viral for your campaign.
That passion for Israel in you?
Well, since I grew up poor my whole life, I never had an opportunity to travel abroad.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever went to a foreign country.
So it was life-changing because you went on a trip?
Part of the reason went abroad for the first time, life-changing.
I'm blaming our government for supporting a genocide. But it is unfathomable in my heart, and it breaks my heart that we could be capable of it.
I think we should move on.
Why is that?
We just fundamentally disagree, so.
How many civilians have been killed in this war?
The war is a tragedy, but
90% of them have been. 90% of them have been civilians. They've killed journalists. They've killed journalists.
People have been killed in a war. It's been a tragedy.
They've killed people waiting for aid. I'm telling you as a Jew right now that that we are receiving a lot more hate because of what the people with the flag that has a Jewish star on are doing to other people right now.
That might be
I'm telling you, as a Jewish person, how painful it is for us to say, and it hurts my stomach to say this, so you're gonna say, I disagree, that this is a genocide. And that hurts to say that a Jew could do that. It hurts because we grew up with learning about what hatred is. We grew up learning about this.
Okay, so that really blew up online and exposed Ritchie Torres for what he is. Did you see that whole interview, Jose?
Me?
Did you see
Yeah,
it?
I did. I watched the first half, I think, is just pretty amiable, right? Where they're just kind of talking to each other, cracking jokes. And, you know, I think it kind of, what that interview did was expose what a heartless man Ritchie Torres actually is, because he only cares about the script that he's given. And, you know, people don't know, it's not widely known, but it's something that Ritchie Torres does talk about, which is the fact that he's on antidepressants. And I say that he's very,
I didn't know that.
He's very vocal about it. He's very vocal about the fact that he had a mental illness that made him drop out of school.
That I knew. I didn't know he's still on antidepressants.
He's still on antidepressants. He takes one a day, you know, and I think that that's part of the reason why he's able to be numb to that. That's why he doesn't have any empathy. Is if you think that's me trying to find some sort of empathy, kind of. I had the privilege of going around with this guy named Father Harry Berry, who is 95 years old, and that guy was kidnapped in Gaza by Hamas in 2006 or 5, and you know, that guy chained himself to a fence, you know, protesting the Vietnam War. He's a father, he's a Catholic priest, and you know, I was talking to him about Ritchie Torres, and I told him he was on antidepressants. You know, he's been trying to hammer me into saying that people are not evil, but the behavior they do is what's evil. So this is me trying to figure out, okay, maybe it's just the case that Ritchie Torres took too many antidepressants, fucked up his brain chemistry, and quite literally made himself into a psychopath. And so now we're dealing, okay, and again, sorry, I'm trying to practice love.
Wait, what do you got? You got somebody making you a cake over there?
Who's
over there? You keep looking over to the side. Were they making you a cake?
It's a whole
cake. Was that Jeeves? That's Jeeves over there?
No, the camera's here, the monitor where you guys are over there. I'm trying to, sorry, I'll just keep looking over here. But my point is that, like, he takes antidepressants, and as a result, I think he's altered his brain chemistry to the point that he actually has no empathy. And I think he is just a genuine sociopath at this point. And as a result, he is mentally unfit to be in government. And that alone should be the cause of a congressional inquiry to see whether or not this guy can exhibit even basic human emotions anymore. When you hear, hey, I'm being called all kinds of things as a Jew because there are people committing genocide in the name of my people, and your reaction is, I mean, hey man, shit happens, you know, like, come on. And the fact that, you know, he actually posted, I think it was today, that he was in the Bronx in Highbridge, you know, in a part of the Bronx that he's never been. Yep. And I think it's the case that we've kind of got him scared now, because we actually do go out in the streets and talk to people, and the word has been spreading that I'm running against him here in the Bronx. So now he has to come out and actually, you know, show his face. Because the truth is, nobody does know who he is here.
Right.
See, Ritchie Torres is Israel's dream, or any foreign country's dream that they want to manipulate and control in Congress. He is young, so he's not going to get aged out. He's got a boatload of cash that was given to him, and he's in a very poor congressional district. It's just what they do with, like, Hakeem Jeffries, for example. He represents parts of Brownsville, Brooklyn, right? And that guy is just a total empty suit and mouthpiece. So these oligarchs, they look for people like this, and even better if they're people of color, right? That they can definitely control and, you know, keep them on a leash. That's what they do. And they say, okay, listen, nobody in your district even gives a shit about politics. So we'll just get the people who actually want to vote and or whose interests are aligned with ours, and you'll stay there forever, and your job is to just do what we say, which is why nothing has gotten done here in the Bronx. I keep referencing this school that was shut down, the All Hallows Catholic High School that was near Yankee Stadium. It's the only school in the South Bronx that had a 100% graduation rate. And I found out that Ritchie Torres was there in January of this year, okay, when they had 1 month to go to raise $15 million. They were $3 million short. And what happened? He just shrugged his shoulders and said, good luck, I guess. He couldn't have called his donors. He couldn't have put out a campaign saying, hey, this school needs $3 million to stay open for another 5 years. He just said, good luck, I guess. He has donors that could just chump that out. And he didn't do that.
Yeah, well, the Catholics are not the ones who are obsessed with keeping Israel there for Jesus bait. That's more of an evangelical thing. If there had been an evangelical church, his donors probably would have been interested. Yeah. The Huckabee branches of that church.
Oh, sure.
Let's you actually went to a housing project where Ritchie Torres did an entire video for his campaign, and you found they really didn't know who he was there. And this video's done very well. I think it's like 750,000 right now views. So let's take a look at some of this.
Hello, it's Congressman Torres from the Bronx. I'm here at McKinley Houses in the South Bronx.
And so I want to talk to the constituents to see if they know what their congressman has been up to, show them a good alternative, me, and see just what their concerns about and how much they actually do care about Palestine and Israel. Do you know who this man is?
I don't.
No.
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 This man is Congressman Ritchie Torres, and he represents this district.
Mm-hmm.
And it was revealed that he is investing in companies that make weapons, missiles, bombs, and bullets. He himself personally was investing in these companies that send weapons and missiles to Israel. He's doing it under your name. For the last 4 years, was voting to send money and weapons to Israel. This video is of journalists at a hospital in Palestine, live TV. You see Israel just strikes them out of nowhere. Just watch that, boom.
Oh.
So, these are journalists at a hospital in Gaza,
What are
in
they
Palestine. They're there. They're just working there at the hospital. All of us, boom, an Israeli missile.
Wow.
A missile hit these journalists on live TV. That is what Ritchie Torres is voting to send money and weapons to. He is the biggest cheerleader for the genocide that's happening in Palestine.
Oh, wow.
He invested money into the companies that make missiles and weapons that are sent to Israel.
For real?
Yeah. I'm dead ass.
That is, I don't know, that's something else.
That's the person who represents you right now.
Oh no, well we don't want him. We want you there. Get it, kick him out.
Remember the name Jose Vega.
Jose Vega, okay.
We need a new Congress.
Yeah.
You do need a new Congress,
do.
you need a new congressman. My name's Jose Vega. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Jose Vega.
Jose Vega. Check my boy Jose Vega out.
My name's Jose Vega, and I want to represent you. Would you support me?
I would support you.
Yeah, you'll vote for me?
Vote Jose.
Remember the name, Jose Vega.
Jose Vega, I got you.
All right, now you went back there a second time, right? Didn't you do a follow-up video?
I absolutely did. I did. Do you have that one too? Or do you want me to just explain that one? Because
I don't have that one.
That one, I did go back there, and I opened it with the reaction of a woman who I was briefing her on who Ritchie Torres was, and I said, he voted to send money to Israel, and she says, well, look, listen, you can love your country, and I said, hey, he's not Israeli, he's from here, he's from the South Bronx. She says, what? She had assumed that he was born in Israel or something and representing the Bronx.
Right.
And so that's how I had opened that video too. Look, what I had described in that video, it's like it showed that, yeah, nobody actually does know who Ritchie Torres is. Sadly, this district, like others, have fallen into the trap of, vote blue no matter who. People have been brainwashed and sheeped into it. But I had the privilege last night. I took Anthony Aguilar. You guys had him on your show on Sunday.
Yep.
He came to the Bronx. He came to the Bronx yesterday, last night. I got to take him to Little Italy. I got to take him around the Bronx. I got to show him some of the poorest zip codes in the country. We were driving around. And one of the things that he said in his intervention, where he stood up at the it was a committee hearing to confirm somebody, I think the ambassador to Tanzania, he said that what they're doing over there in Gaza is what they're about to start doing here too. And so as I was explaining to him, listen, you know, the Bronx, we've had X number of hospitals shut down. We just lost another school here in the Bronx. Buildings, facades of buildings collapse because of neglect. Houses burn down here because people don't have heat, so they have to buy space heaters that are cheap. And he said, this is what I was talking about. You know, I didn't say that it was going to, you know, though when it happens here, it's not going to happen in tanks. It's not going to happen jets. It's not going to be soldiers storming the streets. It's going to be this. It's just going to be neglect. And, you know, he had realized that like what's been happening in the Bronx over 50 years is what's happening in Gaza in an accelerated pace, where they've just decided to crank the genocide up to 12. Because I know it was a genocide even before October 7th. And they're deciding now's the time to wipe people out. But what they were doing to Gaza before October 7th is what they've been doing to the Bronx and what they're going to do for the rest of the country. And that was Tony Aguilar's discovery of coming here to the Bronx and realizing that, you know, that this guy who, you know, witnessed all these atrocities in Gaza, you know, is seeing some form of that same policy here in the Bronx, which is why I call the Bronx Gaza West. And when I look at this fool, Ritchie Torres, he is a great embodiment of that principle, because what he's voting to do over in Gaza, he's doing here in the Bronx just by completely ignoring it and not doing anything about it. That is how depraved the indifference is that he has. That is what he has become. He has become, you know, an empty shell of a man who just has decided to sell out, because now we know that he has been taking money. Okay, he invested in 28 pages worth of stock companies. So I was reviewing his stock disclosures, where he had, it was so big of a filing. I thought, oh, is this like every stock listed and you just check off the ones that you invested in? No, he had invested in dozens of different stock companies. And he made money off of investing in Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and L3 Harris. These are the three biggest military companies that invest in Israel. And he doesn't give a crap about the people here in the Bronx. And I just thought, like, this guy is sick and depressed. And you know what's worse too? I'm going to just shit on the Democrats here for a second. They talk so much shit.
And to be clear, for anyone who doesn't know, you know, we know you. We've interviewed you a bunch of times. We assume people know. Jose is not running in a Democratic primary. Jose is an independent candidate. He is not a Democrat.
That's right. I am not a Democrat. I am an independent candidate. The two-party system has failed people. And there's another video I made. So my goal is to try to pump out these videos as much as I can. I went back to, for people who don't know, you can watch the documentary that these two did on me about my apartment that had collapsed in on itself. The ceiling had collapsed in on itself because I lived in a basement apartment. I went back to that place. I went back to that place last Saturday, and I went up the stairs to ask the tenants. You know, that was 7 years ago when I was kicked out of there, and the landlord ripped up the lease and told us to just get out, and they changed the locks, and I was bribed. Well, I was not successfully. They attempted to bribe me to catch. And I went to that building and I asked the lady who lived on the third floor, I saw that there were still reports of mold. Is that the case? And she told me yes. And we got video and pictures of the mold that she has been dealing with for the last 20 years. You know, she said, my oldest right now is 22 years old, and I remember the mold in the bathroom. It's black mold, by the way. Okay. It's toxic to people. It's black mold that's been there. And she said she remembers it being there when she was pregnant with that same 22-year-old kid. You know, so, I mean, like, the Bronx is so neglected, and I'm supposed to believe that the Democratic Party gives a shit about its people. And now I see this Dem Tea Party thing, right, where they're getting excited, okay, about James Tallarico and Graham Plattner. These people are products.
Who is that? Who is that?
James Tallarico and Graham Plattner. These are two Senate candidates running in Republican stronghold states. So Graham Plattner is running in Maine, which is current. He's running against Susan Collins.
Right.
And
James I know.
And James Tallarico is running for Senate in Texas. I think he's running against Ted Cruz, if not the other Republican senator. He's a Democrat, right? And everybody's throwing their money and their weight behind these guys, talking about, oh, this is the new face of the Democratic Party. I have yet to see any Democrat challenge another Democrat. Okay, they are funneling people in to this illusion of, oh, this is the Dem Tea Party, while at the same time selling you. Okay, this guy James Tallarico really pissed me off. He puts out this commercial, or as a social media video, where he's a pastor who took Miriam Adelson money, by the way, so that he could legalize gambling in Texas, which didn't work, by the way, which is why she sold the Mavs, their Slavic name escaped me at the moment. I was a big fan of him, and now it's kind of embarrassing. But he took money from Miriam Adelson's super PAC to try and legalize gambling in Texas. It didn't work. Regardless, he puts out this ad where he's in a pickup truck, and they got a little black kid next to him, and he's speaking to the congregation outside the church, and it's this like Polaroid filter, 2.5 minutes, talking about unity, this and that. It's like something out of TV, and people are eating this shit up, and I am tired of it, because that is empty rhetoric, and that is why I'm running as an independent.
The guy in Maine, I saw his stuff, and it was very, you know why I'm mad at these Democrats? Because they're not fighting against Trump. That's the only problem there.
Well, this is, duopoly politics really does degrade political consciousness. And I think this is the big problem. And this is the big obstacle that you face. And, I've talked about this as long as you've been running, going back to the last campaign, is that, just people get into a habit of voting a certain party line, and they don't look into who's on that party line or what that person stands for on that party line, right? So people just get in the habit, all right, we're going to vote for whoever the Democrat is. And, in a deep, deep blue area like the Bronx, that sort of like default demographic advantage that the Democrats have means whoever the Democrat is can just be as shitty as they want. Doesn't matter because nobody's paying close enough attention, and they vote for the Democrat anyway.
And part of what's so crazy in New York City is how much it is just oligarchy on display. Because here, look at what you're describing. It's shocking to people. This is the poorest congressional district in America, and it's literally right across a river from opulence and wealth. It's right across the river from this place where people are lining up because they saw this incredible gourmet ice cream on Instagram, and there's a line around the block. This is right across the river where people have that kind of leisure time, have that kind of a lifestyle. When I bike, once a week, I bike Manhattan. Whenever I do it, there are people lined up for some shit like that as I ride along, always. And you've got people living in black mold right across the river there in the Bronx. I think that makes it even easier to ignore, because people think of New York, they think of that. They think of that opulence. They think of Broadway. And they don't think, wow, man, you got people really living in poverty and misery. We get that all the time as podcasters based in New York. Keaton doesn't even live in the city. What do you know about poor? You don't live in, you live in New York. People don't even know there's a seriously. Because
that's right.
What does TV show them of what New York is?
Sex in the City.
Yeah, of course. And even more
dystopian. They don't show them your New York.
Of course. And the even more dystopian dynamic is if you go to a wealthy neighborhood like a Tribeca or like a Greenwich Village, the workers who are pouring the coffee there, tending the bar there, waiting the tables there, they mostly live in these poor neighborhoods because they can't afford to live in the nice areas where they work. So it really is. I mean, it is a feudal dynamic, really.
Well,
in New York City.
And I constantly stress that the Bronx is the poorest congressional district in the whole country. Right. When there are parts of Mississippi that don't even have basic plumbing infrastructure, somehow the Bronx is worse than that.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought up the lady living in the mold was because the thing that struck her and why she let me why she wanted to keep in touch was because I told her, look, I think the two-party system has failed people like us. And she was totally in for it. And now look, the other reason I brought up Tallarico and Plattner is because that energy should not just be spent on Republicans. I don't give a fuck what somebody's, letter is next to their name. They're all the same to me. But these same people who talk shit aren't saying anything about Ritchie Torres, aren't talking about the Bronx. I mean, look, there's nobody primarying this guy. You think about that for a second, right? There's nobody primarying this fucking guy, despite all this shit you're talking about, genocide, this and that. And every day that happens, nobody wants to throw their hat in the primary against this guy. You guys, like, I am genuinely pissed off that nobody is running in the primary against him. And
that's good for you. That would suck up some of your energy.
Well, yeah, it would.
No, it's true. If there were a Democrat who were running as anti-Israel, because you're going to be the only game in town. You're going to be the only one challenging Ritchie Torres. I mean, really, Jose, I think your campaign's going to blow up, because if you look at where the momentum is on Israel, especially after Charlie Kirk, anyone who has, and we've been saying for years this would happen, that if you marry yourself to that cause, it's going to come back on you. And nobody has identified himself with that more than Ritchie Torres has. So there is going to be a real hunger. And that Adam Friedland thing really brought a lot of people who weren't even paying attention to Ritchie Torres, wisen them up about Ritchie Torres. There would be a lot of support for a challenger to him who is not taking the AIPAC money. That challenger is you, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. There's a lot of pressure for me to run in the primary, and so far I have resisted that pressure on purpose. And I don't necessarily see the benefit as running in the primary. I've said right now I'm sticking to my guns as an independent. I mean, I don't know, because what if I do get to January and nobody actually has primaried him? I mean, yeah, I can morally grandstand.
I don't think anyone will. I'd be surprised.
But then, like, I honestly am kind of shocked by the ramifications of what that means. That the Democratic Party, rather than going after itself and try to have some reform, it would just let this genocidalist war pig keep taking the seat, keep profiting off of the death of children. I mean, like, I honestly don't believe it. I honestly don't, and everything I'm hearing.
Well, let me ask you something. Sorry to cut you off. Are you, when you say, well, if we get to January, like, are you considering doing it or no?
I don't know. I don't want to, but at the same time, I'm so shocked by the fact that they wouldn't do it that I almost feel the morally right thing to do would be to do that.
Well, what you could do? I mean, you could do what none of these dickless Democrats have ever done before, which is say, I'm going to run in the primary, and if I lose the primary, I'm running as an independent.
I'm running as an independent. I'm not dropping out. What we always said Bernie should do.
Yeah, that's what we always said. These people should all do, and none of them ever do it.
New York lets you do that. I mean, that's what Cuomo
you can do that. Yeah.
You can run on the Jose Vega party line.
I would do that.
I
would do the Due Dissidence line, the Jimmy Dore line. Yeah. I mean, you could figure it out.
That could be fun. That could be fun, because then you have an opportunity to knock him out early. Like, if you win the primary, he's out.
That's
you win,
true. That's true.
And if you can't get him in the primary, you still got 6 months after the primary to try and beat him again. That's what Cuomo did. Cuomo ran in the primary, got beat by Mamdani. Now he's going to try and beat him again.
You don't even have to pay us for this advice. We just want a job in the administration as advisors later on. We just want an office at Gracie Mansion. That was a great idea. I can tell you're thinking about it.
Well, I'm because you know what? We're just putting this out there on the open. Now I'm just going to relax here for a bit. There looked like there was somebody who was going to challenge Ritchie Torres, and now it looks like that guy's getting cold feet. Yeah. So in the primary, and I'm just like, are you guys fucking serious? Like,
well, the thing
is somebody not going to put their money where their mouth is?
Well, the thing is, if you're going to do it, you have to do it. I sound like your father now. You have to do it the way I told you.
Of course, I would run as an independent. I would.
No, you say at the beginning, if I lose the primary, I'm staying in as an independent. I'm not gonna do a sheepdog thing where I just endorse him because he's better than their opponent. No, like you say, if I lose, I'm gonna run as an independent.
That's a great idea.
You can vote for me now, or you vote for me.
Well, that's what we've always said that these guys like Bernie should do, but they were all sheepdogs to the party, so they were never going to do it.
You honestly think I would endorse Ritchie Torres?
Democrats?
No, I don't. No, I know you wouldn't, but I'm saying you have to make that clear to everybody from jump.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, hey, man, I either win the primary or I run as an independent. Either way, I'm in the race.
I would make a commercial where the first thing it's like I'm running as a Democrat, and then it's just me calling Nancy Pelosi a sad old drunk, and then it's like me going after Hakeem Jeffries, going after AOC.
I mean, Jimmy on tour in Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.